How should I introduce you? Preet, and I'll say you're a real estate agent.
Actually, I'm not a real estate agent right
Okay.
now. I'm a real estate sales consultant is the word.
Today we're joined by Preet. He is a real estate sales consultant. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sales consultant. He's about 31 years old. When did you start it doing real estate related stuff?
I think it was during back in 3 or 4 years after I was deciding to quit army and decided to go university study real estate.
How did you decide on you want to do something about real estate?
And at that point I had enough in army life, and every day to this pace and to start same thrills and everything. That's why I decided I'm gonna change my life.
Do you like the people aspect or more like the building aspect? You like
people. I like people. I like somehow to contact with them.
You deal with primarily residential buildings.
Residential, yes. Primarily.
Who is buying all this building?
Lots of different people. Russians, Finnish, Italian, Spanish, Turkish. Our developments are center of Tallinn, Kalamaja, Kadriorg, Kassisaba.
Very center.
Very center, and there's lots of foreigners.
So for those people who are Estonian, that were buying their apartment and residential buildings, are they mostly like young people like who just moved to Tallinn and then looking for their first home, or like rich people just buying all the apartment they can get?
No, not young and not rich.
The majority of them, how would you describe them?
Something 30, 35, 40 years old people are buying our apartments.
Okay.
Because we develop premium class apartments. If you go outside in center of the city, like Mustamäe, Lasnamäe, something 10 to 15 kilometers outside the city, then the apartments are a little cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have those values like in center. This water for heating, under building garage.
Do you think it's gotta be, we're gonna look at more luxurious apartment, or there will be more affordable housings for everybody? Because
I think in future, of course, the apartments, the developments have to be affordable for those people who are coming to Tallinn to buy. Most of the apartments have to be affordable. Of course, there's gonna be luxurious apartments and penthouse, of course.
What I noticed, like last year I was looking for apartment to stay at, right? And I was doing my research. It wasn't very comprehensive, but still, I just noticed there seems to be a very big divide in what the apartment is targeting. There's almost no middle ground, in my opinion. The new development in the city, there's either you can go to Mustamäe or Lasnamäe, where they're building the new tall buildings that has like 20 floor
towers.
Yeah, and then it's just like fitting as much apartment as possible, so the price is controlled, and then they attract people to buy those. And then you have what you're doing, more luxurious. I assume all the buildings you're dealing with are probably 3 floor, 4 floor.
Yeah.
This kind
maximum 5.
Right? So where is the middle ground? Those good looking, not so tall. Why is nobody doing those quality stuff? Because when I look at those tall buildings, it's like, isn't this just like the new Soviet building?
It seems like, but I think we have to see what buildings are fitting what areas.
Yeah.
Of course, in Lasnamäe there's lots of towers, lots of high buildings. So I think the towers are suiting there, no doubt. if you want a normal apartment, then with normal price, then I think you have to see outside the center of the city. Then it's affordable, because lots of people are living in Rapland, this kind of places,
outside.
and they're
Easy train connection and stuff.
Yeah.
Over here, like in Tallinn, the price is a lot higher than outside of Tallinn. Why do you think it's people are still moving in? Why not just living like, I don't know, like Kose or Gala or right out of the city?
Yeah, there is no jobs. The life is, the jobs and everything, the businesses are in Tallinn. It's much easier to find job in Tallinn, not in Kose.
You have a lot of old buildings like in Mustamäe, and you have a lot of like old buildings in Lasnamäe. All those like used to be very densely populated place. How do you see the future of those buildings?
I know one side there maybe safety issues, the construction not good enough, but the other ones constructors are saying that they're very good shape.
But what do you feel?
I don't know the constructions well, but I know it's possible to renovate those buildings, like you see in near to the university. This old building were renovated, and it's looks like new.
It does.
And you can renovate the ventilation systems and heating as well, and the building is gonna last, I think, more 20 or something years.
Have you ever lived in one of those like block buildings, built in the Soviet time?
Yeah, actually I lived in Keila. We called them Khrushchev. I didn't like it because there was issue with ventilation. I think most of them have, if the buildings don't have renovate their ventilation system yet, not enough fresh air. And if you have, I had windows facing in the south, so there's sun, and in summertime it's so warm in the apartment.
It's like an oven.
Like an oven, all windows and balcony door is open, but no use of that.
And I heard they say like some of those really old houses,
Yeah.
they have very strict rules when it comes to renovation.
Yes.
They have to look a certain way. Even the windows need to be renovated in a certain way to look like it was from the past.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm the owner of the place, I'll probably be thinking, I just want a comfortable living place at a minimum cost.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted me to do it your way, or the official governmental way, why don't you compensate me for the extra cost? How would you feel about that? Do you think government have the right to tell you what your house is supposed to look like just to fit the image of the city?
Maybe if the government won't tell you that, then we have a lot more of different buildings, different looks buildings, and I think this is not the better way.
You think, a different look is not a better way?
The better way is not that everybody does like in one street 20 different types of building. I think maybe some point of view it is interesting and beautiful, but
Kalamaja. I love the area, man. It's so hipster now.
What makes Kalamaja a hipster area?
Very small shops everywhere.
Small shops.
Not big corporate shops, but small interesting shop. And new posh looking restaurant that is overly expensive but doesn't really serve you good food, those are hipster.
Okay.
A lot more young people living in the neighborhoods as well. I came here 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It was already quite developed, but I heard from my friends it was very quickly like developed in a couple years. Before that, it was not a neighborhood people want to go.
Mm-hmm. Something 10 years ago, I remember.
There are local people who have lived there for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being pushed out of the neighborhood because they can't afford the new hipster lifestyle. All these shops are expensive. All these restaurants are expensive. They used to have Galamaya, the Belti, Yama, Duluk.
Mm-hmm. Turkey.
It would used to be a cheap place to go to. Now it's not cheap. It's fancy.
And again, it's business.
Yeah, it's a business, but people who have lived there their entire life or 20 some years, born and raised in the neighborhood, they don't want hipster stuff. They just want to make a living there. They just want to live in their place. But now they can't afford it, so they have to sell their apartment and go to Mustame or Lastame or wherever that is cheaper to live. How do you feel about that?
I feel about that that everything our life is changing. It's a fact, yeah. Everything is changing all the time.
Sure.
And we have to
Adapt.
try to adapt this change somehow.
Do you like how the city looks nowadays?
It looks better.
Do you like it? Like, I mean, like you do see a very mixed kind of scenery throughout the city when it comes to
True.
buildings.
Actually, I like that new buildings making the view much better.
For somebody who's young, what would you recommend to do? Rent or buy?
I recommend rent.
Well, do you have any questions for me?
What you're planning to find out? What you hope to find more?
You know, like,
What's your big goal?
yeah, I feel like I'm trying to be more living in the moment, you know? But it's very hard unless I have all the connections with other people that I feel like it's very hard for me to root by myself.
Mhm.
I need to have people anchor me down. They're kind of like the anchors. The more people I get to talk to, the more I feel like I am anchored down. I'm enjoying my moment. Well, not necessarily enjoying, but I'm living the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, no big goals. Just one interview at a time, talking to people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank
It
you.
was a real pleasure.